Now on CoastTV News.
Protests on the coast. What hundreds of people in Sussex County are protesting. Demolition Day coming soon. A makeover coming to the Rehoboth Beach boardwalk.
And it was a gorgeous Saturday on Delmarva as we soared into the 80s. Quite mild at this hour. We're holding in the low to mid 70s. I'm tracking a slightly cooler Easter Sunday, and I'll have the latest on when we may see rain roll back on the peninsula. My full forecast in minutes.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Signs, flags, and guest speakers all happening at the Sussex Against Martial Law protests in Rehoboth Beach. Good evening, I'm Brandon Ferguson. Welcome to CoastTV News at 11. We begin tonight with protests along the East Coast. Hundreds of people took to the streets of Rehoboth Beach today. The protest was called Sussex Against Martial Law. The protesters say they're afraid the Trump administration will invoke on Easter Sunday. This protest, unlike the others, heard speeches from Governor Matt Meyer, House Majority Leader Carrie Elvin Harris, and Representative Claire Snyder Hall. CoastTV News reporter Zakia Jennings shows us what these protesters hope to achieve.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, Donnie Trump has got to go, hey, hey.
Protesters lined up along Route 1 on Saturday. From 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., they cheered, they waved flags, and for those who couldn't join, they supported in other ways. Russell Stiles says the last time he protested was in 1968 during the Vietnam War protests. He felt that now was the time to take to the streets once again.
Suddenly, in the period of 9 weeks, we're right back to 1968. We have horrible, horrible prejudice. We have discrimination. We have illegal searches. We have immigrants being deported without due rights, due process, and it's just outrageous. So it's time to march again, and I'm ready.
Protesters say they are protesting the Insurrection Act of 1807, or martial law. When President Trump took office on January 20th, he signed an executive order declaring a national emergency at the southern border of the United States. The order also included that within the 90 days, the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of Homeland Security must submit a report regarding conditions at the southern border. The report must include recommendations including whether to invoke the Insurrection Act of 1807. While many were there in protest of this act, people like Tony Coronia were there to see state leadership and support their president.
We're here mostly to represent that there's two voices here in Sussex County, not just one. And also our governor and our attorney general are going to be here. And as people who are involved in politics and care about where we live, I want to hear what our governor and our attorney general had to say.
Cheryl Siskin, who is a chapter leader with Indivisible Southern Delaware, says there's strength in numbers.
We believe that the people need to stand up to this administration. Congress isn't standing up. We can't really trust the judiciary. We can't even trust the Supreme Court. So the only way to stop the rise of fascism in our country is for the people to hit the streets.
Siskin says there's more to come from Indivisible Southern Delaware. In Rehoboth Beach, Zakia Jennings, Coast TV News.
Zakia touched on that coastal highway protest, and people across Delaware made their voices heard at the Indivisible Southern Delaware's weekly sign wave on Coastal Highway in Rehoboth Beach. Indivisible Southern Delaware says today's protest was against a, quote, hostile government takeover overseen by the Trump administration. According to the organizers, over 600 people showed up today at the wave and rally on Route 1. The protest today wasn't limited to the Delmarva Peninsula. On your screen now is the March for Justice in North Carolina. Organizers say thousands gathered there today to protest the Trump administration. Now to road work locally. Route 24 drivers in the Lewis area, there's going to be lane closures and new traffic patterns starting tomorrow night. On your screen now is where the work will take place. There's going to be nightly construction from 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. and this is the final phase of intersection improvements at the Route 24 Angola Road and Robinson Road intersection, and the work runs through May 19th with nightly construction DelDOT urges drivers to slow down in these work zones and plan for minor delays while traveling through this area. In Sussex County, some neighbors in Laurel are looking to pump the brakes on speeders. Some homeowners on the West 7th Street say they hope to see more measures put in place. This is one of the temporary speed bumps along the road now, and while neighbors say they've helped, it still has not stopped the problem. Some neighbors tell us they're looking for a more permanent solution.
There definitely should be permanent, and there should be one. There's one on the right and the left, and I think there should be one in the middle too.
Town leaders in Laurel say they'll discuss the speed bumps at a meeting coming up on Monday, along with potential next steps to curb speeding on that street. Meantime, the speed bumps at the downtown Salisbury parking garage are being removed. Officials say they were installed during the height of the garage's construction, but they say the speed bumps are no longer necessary as construction nears completion. Instead, new reduced speed signs will be installed. The removal work is scheduled to begin on Monday at the downtown Salisbury parking garage. We're now going to take a live look into Dover. We're bringing our first alert meteorologist, Chris Mastrobono. And Chris, we're expecting a sunny Easter Sunday tomorrow.
Yes, we are. It's been quite a weekend. We had frost advisories earlier in the week. Temperatures in the lower 30s, and we soared to 84 degrees today on the Delmarva Peninsula. Officially the high at Georgetown. Elsewhere, 82 in Ocean City. 80s made it all the way to the coast today. 83 in Salisbury, 82 Cambridge. The cool spot there, Easton, coming in at 79. So it is quite summery out there. If you step outside, temperatures are quite mild at this hour, 76 at 11 o'clock at night. That's pretty impressive for this time of year. And you can see temperatures across the area, 72 Seaford, 73 in Milton, and we're at 75 in Rehoboth Beach. Well, we're clear, we're dry at the moment. We have one little rogue severe thunderstorm rolling along the Maryland-PA border, weakening as it makes its way towards Newcastle County, so those areas could see a brief downpour there. But this cold front is going to sag southward overnight into our Easter, bringing some clouds to start. So it'll be a cloudy start to the day, but I think by the afternoon we will see sunshine, temperatures rising into the lower to mid-70s inland. At the coast, I think lower to mid-60s. Some areas will be in the 50s as an easterly wind kicks in, and then we are looking at more cloud cover in play as we start the week with some seasonable temperatures. We'll talk about some rain chances in the near distant future coming up in that full 7-day forecast here in a little bit. Brandon?
Thank you, Chris. And now to Rehoboth Beach's boardwalk. Fences were up on the north end of the boardwalk, preparing for demolition to start next week on the Grottos and Old Sirocco Motel. This is the first step towards building the One Rehoboth Avenue Hotel that will range from Baltimore Avenue all the way to Rehoboth Avenue. Demolition is set to begin on Monday, and one local CoastTV spoke with says the end product will all be worth it.
Well, that's probably like a time where you wouldn't want it to start, but I think once they get it going, it'll be another great place for someone to stay.
Rehoboth Beach has a ban on all demolition starting on May 15th, so work will have to pause at that point, but work will resume in September when that ban is up. In Lewis, Delaware State Police say shots were fired between 8 and 10 p.m. this Wednesday. On your screen now is the 30,000th block of Pinetown Road in Lewis. Troopers say an unknown number of shots hit a house and car by an unknown shooter. DSP are investigating this shooting and asking anyone if they know information, contact police. In Bethany Beach, police are seeing an increase in packages stolen off of people's doorsteps. Bethany police say to keep an eye out for suspicious activity and to help protect yourself from porch pirates. Police say to try and be available for all of your deliveries, requires signatures, and track your packages. If you notice any criminal activity near your home or neighborhood, you're asked to report it to authorities. Seasonal police officer training is underway in Dewey Beach this weekend. Recruits attended the second of 5 training sessions. Since most seasonal officers patrol on foot or bicycle, learning the layout of the town is essential. With just 37 days until Memorial Day weekend, the new recruits will be ready to take the streets then. The deadline to get your real ID is quickly approaching. Starting May 7th, we'll all need one to fly domestically. The Delaware Department of Transportation and the Division of Motor Vehicles are urging people to check their real ID status. Officials say more than 742,000 Delawareans are already real ID compliant, and they say those that are not should get to the DMV as soon as possible so they can be prepared.
You will need 2 proofs of your Delaware address, proof of your Social Security card, and proof of name change. So if you've been married, bring in your marriage certificate, married and divorced, your marriage certificate, and your divorce decree, and just bring those to a Delaware Division of Motor Vehicle location.
For those that do not make it to that May 7th deadline, a passport or global entry will still get you on board a flight, and you can still get a real ID after May 7th at the DMV. Into the Trenches is back for its 3rd season this year. We follow the Cape Penelope Vikings football team fresh off of their first state championship appearance in 40 years. Into the Trenches premieres Thursday, April 24th at 7:30 on DSN and DSN+.
Well, what are we cooking up for brunch Easter Sunday morning? Well, we're cooking up some clouds to start. We'll see clouds, we'll see some sunshine by the afternoon. Temperatures starting in the mid-60s, so it's going to be quite a mild day. Still on the mild side in the afternoon with temperatures in the lower 70s. We'll talk more about your Easter.
Up next, boardwalk businesses in Ocean City. That and the other stories that made headlines. We have your week in review in just 60 seconds. From a seal crossing Coastal Highway to a hate crime at the Millville Volunteer Fire Company, there was a lot going on this week here on the coast. Madeline Overturf has a look at our week in review.
Monday, yet another seal rescue here along the coast, and this was mobile. A seal pup crossed 4 lanes of traffic near the Indian River Inlet before being rescued by Mayor, who says the seal had some bite wounds but is recovering. Tuesday, CoastTV looked at businesses in Ocean City gearing up for the summer season, specifically getting ready to employ foreign students known as J-1 visa students. The heightened immigration enforcement in the U.S. has some wondering if it will be challenging to fill those positions, but the executive director of the Chamber of Commerce says she does not foresee any issues. Wednesday, a Delaware state representative, Kevin Hensley, who you see here, entered a plea deal related to a 2024 drunk driving collision in Milford. Hensley is from Newcastle County. He will lose his license for a year, serve probation, and take DUI classes. Thursday, a dog shelter in Somerset County putting out the call to consider canine companionship. The shelter is at max capacity. Friday, more fallout after 2 Millville volunteer firefighters were arrested for allegedly chasing an employee with a noose and using racial slurs. The head of the Southern Delaware Alliance for Racial Justice calling for jail time. For your week in review, I'm Madeline Overturf.
Coming up, the 30-year anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing. Families still feeling the impacts to this day.
And we're avoiding any rain this weekend, so that is certainly good news. And we're going to carry that into late Monday night and into early Tuesday morning. I think we'll see a few scattered showers, and then better chance late next week into next weekend. We'll talk about all-important Easter forecast when Coast TV News at 11 comes right back. Well, today was certainly a treat. Hope you got outside and enjoyed the beautiful warm weather we had. And we're going to carry that nice weather into our Easter Sunday, but it will be a few ticks cooler than what we saw today on Delmarva. 74 right now in Salisbury. Quite mild out there at this hour. We're holding at 72 Seaford, 73 in Redden, 74 Rehoboth, and 75 in Bethany Beach. You can see the wind flow still out of the southwest, funneling in that warmer air. 84 degrees was our high in Georgetown after our morning low of 64, the average 68, and the record high 91 set back in 1976. Look at the record low there, 29 back in 1948. So we are tracking more nice conditions into our Sunday. 70s for the inland areas, 50s and 60s at the coast. We're going to see more of an easterly wind kick in through the afternoon. A seasonable start to the week. We're tracking a round of a few fronts, a cold front late Monday into Tuesday that could bring a round of showers. And then the week is going to be pretty quiet from a precipitation standpoint. It's not until late week we see rain chances. But boy, the tree pollen is quite high. The oak, ash, and the birch, and we'll continue to see those high pollen counts through the weekend. Small craft advisory up through 2 a.m. for the Delaware coast, and then further to the south that runs through 1 a.m. And then from the bay that continues through 5 a.m. We have one little rogue thunderstorm. Well, you can see it just kind of fizzling out there as it pushes towards Newcastle County. See a brief shower there, but that front sagging southward is going to be pushing through our Easter morning. You can see severe weather breaking out across the plains. For us, quite a mild night, even with the front going to be passing through. A lot of clouds, temperatures in the 60s. Now tomorrow we start with clouds, mild 67. By the afternoon we push into the lower 70s with that sunshine breaking out. Temperatures across the peninsula, I think some of us could reach the mid 70s. Eastern Shore, inland interior, Delmarva at the coast, lower 70s, 71 Crisfield, 77 in Salisbury. So Futurecast shows the clouds to start. We see the northerly winds kick in, easterly winds dropping us in the 50s across Rehoboth, Dewey Beach. And then by Monday, we see more of a southeasterly flow kick in. So we're going to, I think, be mostly in the 50s at the coast, 60s inland, and maybe lower 70s along the eastern shore. Now, there's the wind flow tomorrow afternoon, north-northeast, and then more of an easterly wind as we go into the day on Sunday. And then there's that southeasterly wind kicking in. So a lot of clouds to start. Chickateague through Assateague, 59 on Monday there with the cooler air. 71 for your Easter Sunday in Fenwick Island, 64 in Ocean City. As we go into Lewis, 71 for your Easter Sunday, 68 in Rehoboth. Bit more cloud cover as we go into your Monday, but we don't see any really high rain chances. Even Tuesday's rain chance is pretty minimal as that front sags south. We're going to see a warm front lift northward into Tuesday, and then we cool out, and then some more significant rain chances possible as we go into next weekend. Earth Day, Tuesday, 78 degrees. We stay pretty dry, quiet, and tranquil Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then some more significant rain chances possible on Saturday.
Saturday marks the 30th anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing. 168 people were killed and hundreds more were injured. A remembrance ceremony was held to honor the victims. Former President Bill Clinton was the keynote speaker. Jen Sullivan shows us how the community came together to remember this dark day.
30 years ago, Lord, was truly a dark and evil day.
Chaplain Teddy Wilson remembering the horrific bombing in Oklahoma City. He was one of the many emergency responders who rushed to help.
10 a.m., just 1 hour after the murderous blast. The living dig their way out of a cement tomb.
Evacuating downtown Oklahoma City.
One big boom.
On April 19th, 1995, a rental truck filled with bombs exploded outside the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building. 168 people were killed. 19 of them were children in the building's daycare center. Hundreds more were injured.
On the day that it happened, you think it's the end of the world. It feels like it's the end of the world.
Edie Rains lost both her sons that day. 3-year-old Chase and 2-year-old Colton were at the daycare located on the second floor of the federal building when it was hit. Her brother, a police officer at the time, found their bodies. 30 years later, it's still the worst act of homegrown terrorism in the nation's history, according to the FBI.
An act of unimaginable violence that changed our city.
Saturday, hundreds of people gathered for a service to remember those who lost their lives that day. Former President Bill Clinton, who was president at the time, sharing his thoughts.
In the end, it brought out the best in America. First responders, doctors, nurses, construction workers from all across America put their own lives on hold and showed up here.
Where the bombing happened now sits a national memorial and museum. 168 bronze and granite chairs, one for each person killed in the blast. I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
The man behind the deadly attack was Timothy McVeigh. He was executed on June 11, 2001 in a federal prison in Indiana. McVeigh's accomplice, Terry Nicholas, is serving life without parole in Colorado's Supermax prison. Coming up, talks continue between U.S. and Iran. What President Trump is threatening if a deal isn't reached. But first, an Easter ceasefire in place, what Putin says about the Russia and Ukraine affairs. Vladimir Putin has declared a temporary Easter ceasefire in Ukraine. During a meeting with the chief of Russia's head of general staff, Putin said that Russia would cease all military actions from 6 p.m. on Friday until 12 a.m. on Monday, April 21st. As a result of the ceasefire, 246 Russian servicemen were returned in exchange for 246 prisoners of war of the armed forces of Ukraine, and they were also handed over. As for Ukraine, Putin said he assumes the country will, quote, follow our example, end quote. The Russian leader also added that Russian troops are prepared to repel any potential ceasefire violations. A second round of talks between the United States and Iran got underway today. According to an Iranian foreign ministry spokesperson, indirect talks took place between U.S. Mideast envoy Steve Witkoff and the Iranian foreign minister in Italy today. President Trump repeatedly has threatened to unleash airstrikes targeting Iran's nuclear program if a deal isn't reached. And Iranian officials increasingly warn that they could pursue a nuclear weapon with their stockpile of uranium and enriched to near weapons-grade levels. After the break here on Coast TV News at 11, as we take a live look into Ocean City, we have a final look at your Easter Sunday forecast. You can start your Easter if you celebrate with our Sunrise Sermons 2025. Services begin at 7 a.m. on Coast Country, 9:30 a.m. on the Delmarva Sports Network, and 10:30 a.m. here on Coast TV. And now to some Easter candy. They're cute, tasty, and colorful, and I can eat about 100 of them. So it's no wonder why Peeps are the most popular candy in the country. And the yellow marshmallow Peeps, according to data collected by Google, the candy is the most searched in each state over the last month. That makes it the most beloved Easter treat and the largest number of the states. Chris, are you a fan of Peeps?
No, not really. I'm more of a fan of like the dark chocolate eggs, the cream eggs, you know, the Russell Stover, or like even the dark chocolate covered marshmallows. Well, we're hanging out over here. We're waiting for Easter to come. We're waiting for that candy. And I'll tell you what, it is going to be a nice Easter Sunday. In fact, we're breaking out all the puns tonight. Temperatures are going to start in the 60s. We're going to rise into the lower 70s. So we'll call it excellent. We'll see some clouds to start. Sunshine in the afternoon. You get your forecast anytime by dialing our First Alert weather phone. Now your Paul Davis 10-day shows cloudy skies into our Monday. Could see a brief shower early Tuesday morning, but Tuesday afternoon's looking actually pretty nice. I think some areas on Delmarva could reach 80 degrees, but overall pretty quiet week ahead. And then by Saturday, we could see some more widespread rain roll back into the picture.
Thank you, Chris, and thanks for joining us here for Coast TV News at 11. For more news and local weather, download our Coast TV News app. Saturday Night Live starts right now. Have a great night.